contracted by companies to create the safety, like all the SOPs and everything. So the standard operating procedures and all that. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah,
Different from
just
what
be a very
you
good
were doing.
professional.
Because weren't you were gosh,
Paramedic.
paramedic before? Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I get to maintain my knowledge of just medical stuff. And before that, like years and years and years ago, yeah, I did do the first aid stuff. It was just something where, you're at the company, they say, hey, we need to form a committee. Do you want it? I say, yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Give
I'll
me all this stuff.
How much money
Yeah.
does it get me?
Yeah, that I get to not have to work the same sort of job anymore. You get like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there to just go do a safety meeting. And really, guys do almost nothing on those usually, just free coffee and whatever have you. But, but no, it'll be pretty good. It'll be fun. And it's just going to be great to get into the working world again. So finally get past all that, uh, like the PTSD and everything. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Super excited.
No. So yeah. So you've been out of full time work for a while now.
Yeah, too long, way too long. And since I moved provinces over, the company that sponsored my schooling and all that kind of stuff, they said, well, once you're done your schooling, because you're out of the province, we aren't going to help you get a job, so you'll be on your own pretty much right away. And that was terrifying. So that's why I was like, okay, let me just get something, so I'm not going to be
Just
stuck with nothing.
it's kind of like, oh crap, what am I doing?
Yeah, yeah. So I was doing my education and then also looking for jobs. Like there was, no, I shouldn't say like there was no tomorrow because I wasn't panicking, but it was one of those like, okay, I need to do something here. And
Hmm.
yeah, then they got this. And I thought, okay, sweet. Let's see how it goes. And if it's working out super well, then I just don't have to worry about the unknown as much, which is really nice.
Yeah. No, that's kind of like what I'm hoping. Like, cause my job, I just what was it? Just over a year ago, I was laid off from my work because the company I was with um, just wasn't getting enough work to keep everybody busy, and they were letting other people go. And I kind of had said to my boss previously, I'm kind of done here. Like I don't want to be here
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh no.
And and I had it was like just after my mom had passed away. I think I kind of just had, kind of like you had PSD. I just kind of had a mental trial that I had to go through and try to reboot myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because it's like there's a parent, losing a parent, but when you're also the caretaker of somebody, like
Yeah.
it's like and I think it gives me a better idea of like if you have kids and you have a kid pass away, it's maybe not the same, but it's a little bit closer that you're having to take care of them,
Yeah.
um, and so it was just kind of like a really really hard time, and I was actually living in my mom's house, and then my siblings were like, well, we kind of want to sell the house, and so um, sold the house. I moved out, but I found this new job actually really quick.
Oh, nice.
And part of it was like my old boss. Um, and this is where connections are really good. My old boss, had been contacted by this company saying, "Hey, we're looking for drafters, and we're looking to start a design um, design firm or whatever, because they do steel fabrication for like steel studs for buildings."
Oh,
and
okay. That's
and
cool.
so they wanted to start designing, like drawing out the buildings and everything. And so like my boss was like, well, he knows Revit and this and that, and so I've kind of come on and you know the hardest thing is like I've never done framing before, and there's a lot of stuff to framing.
Oh, is it? Oh no.
You think it's like you think okay, well they're just a bunch of you know this is an over dramatic, but just a bunch of dumb builders that just put a bunch of studs together and use some nails and hit stuff. But like it's like the spacing of the studs matter for like the guys putting on drywall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for like
And
how strong it's gonna be structurally.
um well, because drywall's 4 feet by 8 foot, and when you have your studs spaced out, if you don't start your first stud spaced correctly, it it messes with your drywall layout.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
And then how you like wrap corners and everything, so it's like if they're wrapping the end of the wall or wrapping the wall, so it's kind of like this whole intricate system that's put together. And so it's been like, I know the Revit side because that's what I work in is Revit. I know that side of it, but it's like, oh, they're like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, I guess we'll see. And
Yeah,
so
there you go. Yeah.
yeah, and so they're after now a year there, they're kind of like, okay, we're going to move you more into a design role where you're going to be working less on projects and more on making tools and everything. So,
Mm, okay.
which is a little bit funner for me.
Yeah. No, cool, cool.
So,
That's good though. So like things are going good though for your current thing.
yeah, yeah, it's been going well. Yeah, and so I mean, hour wise, it's just been really chaotic for the past year. Like I had, well, because
Right.
I'm still on like a really, really, really big project,
Mm-hmm.
and and so it's just ate up a bunch of my time, and so it's like playing video games has not been, it's like sleeping and work is sleep, work, and
Oh,
eat has been like a high priority for me.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, with this job, they were saying it's almost guaranteed it could be like 44 to 50 hours per week. So I thought, okay, well, if that's what
um
it is, that's sure.
40 to 50, like in my mind, is actually kind of nice right now.
Oh no.
I
Yeah.
I like I mean, at the worst, I did 90 plus hours um, for a couple weeks in a row, because it's kind of like, I know, like I said, I know Revit, the program Revit, but then they have another, like it's an add-on program to do the framing. I don't know
Okay.
that program as well, and although it does some cool things, it is buggy.
Oh. Oh
and
no.
and so it's just trying to create stuff. And so there was some times where I'm like, okay, I need to get this done because I'm trying. It's like I'm trying to, like I said, it's the one that I've done the most hours on. It's just been a massive project where it's extremely complicated to do, and per level it's roughly about 10,000 square feet, and
Oh
it's
wow.
um, 5 stories.
Yeah.
Um,
That's pretty good size.
so, and yeah, well, okay, well. this kind of goes into The Last of Us anyway. It's an LDS
Mm,
temple. So, like in the game, at the end of the first game,
hmm.
you're in Salt Lake, and I think they changed it in the PS5 version, but I know in the PS3 and the PS4, you actually see the Salt Lake Temple.
Oh, correct. Yeah, I just played through it. I don't recollect seeing it actually. I
I know,
maybe they did.
I know in the show they show the current skyline of Salt Lake, and the temple's been under like a refurbishment, and so it's got scaffolding all over it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember them saying something about that where it's like, hey, it looks perfect because everything is dilapidated and yeah. So, but yeah, now that you
So
mention it, I,
and so they're the church is actually doing a they had a temple in Provo, Utah. So
mm,
Provo's just about an hour roughly south of Salt Lake.
okay.
Big, right by Brigham Young University. If more people probably would know BYU if they're into like
Oh,
football
okay.
and basketball. Um,
Yeah,
and so I'm been working on that new temple right there.
that's pretty
And
cool.
they the old one, like for like decades, everybody was like, "That's really ugly," because
No.
it was built in like the 60s or 70s, and they
Mm,
had around it. They were like, "Well, it's supposed to represent clouds," and so they had these big rectangles that circled around the building
right.
for it, and most people are like that. Just I don't know where they got the idea that that would represent clouds, and
Abstract
so
art.
yeah, it was very abstract, and so I think they just wanted a new one, and uh, yeah, well, the other thing is most people meet them, the LDS missionaries. They have a training center right next to
Mhm.
that temple, and so there's a lot of people go through it. So they just wanted something bigger, and so it's bigger. It's very complicated. All
Yeah,
sorts of high quality stonework and whatnot, and
that's
so
cool.
so
So
yeah,
5
so
stories. Holy moly, though. That
yeah,
does sound like really big for a temple. I was
it's
anticipating like this office building.
no, it's they're really big, and if you look at anything, they're very much like if you have like your certain building code for like structural engineering and everything, they always over engineer it. Say, okay, let's
Mm,
go to the highest level,
right.
just because yeah it's kind of a showpiece for the church anyway, so they put a lot of money into it. But yeah, so that's kind of what has ate up so much of my time trying to learn the program, learn framing, um, and yeah, and so there's easily a few weeks that I've done like 100 plus hours, and then you
Wow.
hit render to kind of build certain things or whatever, and just have the system kind of put in, like I want the stud spacing this way, and so you hit render to have it do that. And
Mm,
I needed to have a certain amount done, and so I'd be up over the night, and so I knew it would take 2 hours to render, so I set it to render, go to sleep for 2 hours, get up, set up a new group to render it, sleep for 2 hours.
I
So
mean, power nap and all the power to you, but golly.
that one I just kind of joke. It's like, well, I kind of joke, but it's truthful. But it messed with my sleep cycle so bad.
Yeah,
So
that's not good. But
so, but they're
yeah.
working on it. But anyway, let's yeah, let's get into The Last of Us. So, this is
Yes, sir.
our unofficial um, kickoff to The Last of Us season two. Uh, this one we're just planning. I was just planning like, okay, we'll just quickly, because we don't want to eat up too much time. Go through episode 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to episode 9.
Yeah, 9.
And we can kind of merge some of them together because, like, episodes 1 and 2, you can easily merge together. 3, they purposely did it as its own thing. Um,
Yeah.
uh, 4 and 5 are very much a merge together type of story.
Hmm.
I really, uh, that's probably one of my favorite sequences is that that
Is the 4 and 5. Yeah, and that's the one where it really is like quite different than the game.
yeah, yeah, they changed it a lot from the game. Um,
Yeah.
3, they kind of changed from the game, although they heavily focused on something that wasn't in the game.
Yeah, yeah, it was more or less just yeah.
So let's talk
Yeah.
episode 1 and 2. So we can kind of start like, I mean, I really like some of the stuff that they added in about Sarah and her, all the stuff that they were doing before that they didn't show in the game.
Yeah, yeah, because in the game it just starts off as you're playing as Sarah, but then within like 15 minutes of game time, everything goes crazy and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Because you get the whole like here's your birthday gift and everything. You don't get really a background of Sarah, just that's your daughter. She loves you a lot, and then something terrible happens to her.
Yeah.
Which
And
still is the first time in a video game where I ended up crying and getting really emotional.
yeah, I think, like you have shocking moments, and the most famous one is Final Fantasy VII with Aerith, where people are, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I spent all this time building up this character only to, what?
She's gone?
I, I had no
Yeah.
choice. But this one,
Yeah.
like, it does, I think even in the game, like, now I'm probably so cold hearted on it because I've played the game so many times. I've watched the
Mhm.
series like 3 times now, or actually probably 4 times now.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's like Last of Us and Uncharted. I get uh, maybe not as obsessive as some people, but I'll just like I'll just play it again. Um, but yeah, the Sarah dying thing has always been a very emotional like part where you're like, oh, like I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
crying,
and
you're crying.
yeah, right. And I know, like the second time I played the game, I was like, "What if I just don't really approach him or something, or maybe if I turn Joel a certain way, can I change anything?" It's like, no, sorry, it's gonna
Yeah,
happen every time.
and that definitely goes into the second game where it's like you're just like, can I not do this?
Yeah, let's just
Nope,
stay
nope.
happy.
You have to do this. This is very linear. This is what you have to do. Like, um,
Yeah.
uh, but I like in the show that they add like her taking the watch to get it fixed, what she does to get it fixed. They kind of add in her interaction with the neighbors and change a little bit of
Hmm.
that. Um, well, why Joel was not in the house. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, a little bit too of a little bit more shadowing of what Joel did prior to the day where everything goes crazy. Because
yeah,
in the game, you really don't get much of that.
yeah. You just get that he was outside for some reason, and
Hmm.
and then comes in the room and's like, back off, like don't come near, don't come near the door, trying to
Yeah.
protect Sarah. But this kind of says, okay, well, he went to go get Tommy out of jail.
Yeah, which is a fantastic reason to not be there.
Which, yeah, it's a much more solid reason. And so yeah, I like that. Um, and honestly, at the same time, I kind of like how I do like I don't mind the change that they made in this, where it's like she goes out because the dog gets her attention, and she's like, I'm taking you
Yes.
home.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something too where yeah, you don't really get the dogs that much until much later on in the game with Tommy's dog that we get
Yeah,
to see. But yeah, I
but
love how they added a lot more to it. They also went into detail as well. And I know this is actually a little bit into episode two, but explaining the origin of how cordyceps came to be.
yeah,
Because in the game, I mean, you can get it through the notes and just paying more attention to the surroundings. But if you're kind of just going through the game and playing it as a video game, you may miss out on how did this actually happen.
yeah. I'm trying to think, like, in the show they definitely pushed that it was possibly flour that brought in the fungus. In the game, it was actually a virus, and that's what the spores were. But the show, they changed it to the fungus, which I think also was a good change because one, it made it better for TV.
Yeah, true. Because you don't really want a Resident Evil kind of thing of, oh, it was in this thing. There's very rich people that fund it, and here's the T virus and zombies.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
So
one, yeah,
and I think really, like, you go into that, the two opening sequences that don't have anything to do with them, but they're saying this is what happened before. One talking really early before, I don't know what year, where the guy's like, I would be worried about fungus, and they're like, well, fungus can't survive in the human body. Like, at now it can't, but
yeah, just a little mutation. Yeah, that was a big thing too, where they changed that to be fungus, and then we get to find out that it has the cordyceps has like a hive mind, so all the infected are all one. If you hear something 500 yards away, they're going to know about it.
yeah, yeah, because um, yeah, I like how they added that in. And I think it makes a little bit more sense for the average viewer that they did that.
Mhm.
So I mean, we've really kind of gone in, like, to the meat of, like, the very first. The second part of episode one is where you start to see some of the other changes that they made. Um, One, in the game, um, Joel and, now I'm
Test.
Tess are trying to get their guns.
Yes.
In the show, Joel's looking for Tommy and trying to find Tommy, and um, so he's looking for the car battery so that he can get get in a car and drive, which we find that car wouldn't have got them very far anyway. But
Yeah, unfortunately.
come episode four, um, or
Hmm.
is it four? Yeah, it's episode four because five's. Um, but they changed that, and then really in the game, it's them that kills uh, what's the guy's name that had the battery that in the game he sold they had to go to the other side of town to find him.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I he's only there for an hour or two, and really just go up, murder him. I forget. Maybe
Yeah,
it was like
but
Bill, or not Bill, but yeah.
no, Bill. Yeah, Bill and Frank are there. Um, yeah, but anyway, like they go find him, kill him, and it's more of an alleyway. And then Marlene takes him,
Hmm.
um, takes him, takes them to go, make the deal so that they transport Ellie because she's injured, which they did keep the part that she's injured, but kind of
Hmm.
changed the whole interaction there. But I think it was probably partially for TV. Like we don't need to do a whole like we're traveling across town to. Let's just
Yeah, we don't need to constantly grab a ladder and then or hoist each other up all the time, or
yeah.
yeah, all the video gamey kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good there. And the thing that I do like that they did with this is the lady that plays Marlene is also the one that
Mm.
voices her in the game. So she's the only one that did that similar
Yeah.
transition. She's the only one that played the same character that I know of
Yeah.
in both the game and in the show.
Yeah, same here, which is really cool. I mean, we could have probably had more, because obviously Ashley Johnson is an actress as well. But no, it was really cool that they got to keep that. So for all of us that have played the video game and then watched the show, we're like, it's just a really cool, almost like an Easter egg,
Yeah.
something we
Well,
would know about and have even
and
more
they do a
appreciation
lot.
for.
Yeah, they do a lot
Yeah.
of the Easter eggs because it's like Marlene, and then the guy that voices Tommy is in episodes 4 and 5. Um,
Hmm.
and then uh, Troy Baker is in episode um, 8.
Yeah, I believe so. He was towards the end of it. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
um, then Ashley was, yeah, I'm spacing her name, Ashley Johnson, or no,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
Ashley Johnson.
and I like the kind of like because there's no way at this point that she can play a 14-year-old girl.
No, no, and Bella Ramsey. I mean, she she has the look of it anyway, of being
Yeah, she
super
was
young.
she was well, I think she's 21 now, so I think she
Oh,
was
okay.
like 16 or 17 at the time of the show. Which okay,
Oh, for filming.
you can have a 16-year-old pass off as a 14-year-old.
Yeah, not a 30. I'm assuming Ashley Johnson's in her 30s.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah.
yeah. So she's in there. Of course, Laura Bailey's also kind of one of those that Naughty Dog likes to use as a voice actor because
Hmm.
she's also been in Uncharted. So, um,
Yeah.
um, did they have? I don't know if they had Nolan North in the show. I doubt it.
He
Um,
could have been a clicker as far as we know.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
I don't know.
it's like while his role, like you would never guess it was him. He was the preacher guy that Ellie unceremoniously stabs to death.
I mean, he had it coming. He was a really,
Oh
really
yeah,
bad person.
and
But yeah, no,
it's
yeah.
but that he did the voice actor, but it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think he did a cameo for the show, which would have been fun for him to do it. But
Oh yeah.
where would they put him? but maybe they did, and they just like, well, we haven't told you yet, because
Yeah,
the
he's
only
just hiding
reason
in the background there.
I think the only reason that people know Laura Bailey did it, since she was one of the nurses. She posted
Hmm.
a picture on her social media of her doing a peace sign over the dead
Oh goodness,
doctor.
yes, yes, I remember that. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, she's. I mean, Laura Bailey just has a really good social media game, whereas Nolan North, I think he's just I don't know. He doesn't do it as much, I believe,
Yeah,
as much of a presence.
he was doing a YouTube for a while. I think he still does it, but not as much. But he was with Troy Baker, and they played through Uncharted, and I think they played through The Last of Us together, and that was a few years
Oh,
ago.
okay. Actually, that's really cool. I should check that out.
And then Troy Baker split off to go do his own thing. But yeah, that was a few years ago that they did it, and it's always interesting to hear Nolan North just talk, because you're like, that's Nathan Drake.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Because
definitely
his
his breakout.
because he's always been a voice actor, which is why he played so good as the preacher, where he's like, hey, how you doing? Like, let's just go to my place, Um,
Yeah.
and so you're like, oh, that was him. So he does do voices, but
Yeah, yeah, no, he was. Yeah, that's still the one part of the game where, you know, it's just a very uneasy feeling the entire time playing through it. And I think how they transition that into just one, probably like a 40, 50 minute episode,
mm-hmm.
I thought they did a fantastic job because when I played through it, um, just really last week, I was playing through The Last of Us Part 1. And, it's about like 3, 4 hours you can spend in that section of the game.
Yeah,
Spend your time or chasing around the deer, which is all the same actually in the show. She's hunting the deer and then deer runs
yeah.
off. And
They take out the gamey stuff.
yeah, yeah. And even at that campfire thing, I was like, ooh. The very first time I ever played it, it's like, these guys there's something off about it. And the fact that in this video game, it tells you like that you killed his men and they've been basically hunting them for quite a while, I thought was really cool because you don't think about that when you're playing a video game. Take, for example, in Uncharted, you're going around, you're killing all these people. You don't really think too much about, like, there was this group of enemies and then that group of enemies and yada, yada, yada. It's just an enemy is an enemy. But
Yeah, I
when
think
your actions come back, I thought that was really cool. And then that sinister side to the guy I thought was horrendous, where it's like, okay, they're eating people in order to survive, and also he's into these younger ladies, and this is disgusting. But then you get to see this is why we love Ellie, because she has the fire in her, and she is
yeah.
not going to get taken advantage of if she can help it.
I wonder if he liked the young ladies, or if he just could tell, because that's one of the things that they push both in the game and in the show. Definitely pushed it in the show that Ellie's smart. She's
Yeah, yeah, she is.
Joel's a tank. Like you think Joel's a tank. He just barrels through. He can take the punches. He can take all the pain. Whatever. He's a tank. Um,
Yeah,
Ellie's not a tank. She's more of a In the second one, she becomes more of a dexterous character, so she can sneak through and whatnot. But
yeah.
she's a very
Oh,
smart girl.
she is. She knows. Yeah, she is very intelligent, and she is obviously much smaller. She's like what, maybe half the size of Joel, if that. So yeah, she doesn't have that strength, but she she's still able to in the game and everything jump up on these guys and stab them a few times. Like she still has that vicious side to her, which as the show and as the game progressed, you really get to see that with Joel.
Well, and I think
Is
that's. Oh yeah, go ahead. Continue your thought
Oh
there.
yeah, and I was going to say with Joel because in that episode when he wakes up, which props to Ellie for somehow saving this guy who has like he's been impaled. Um, Massive props to that. Um, that's where you get to see Joel kind of turning into this is who Joel was in order to survive for so many years.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he grabs those guys, he kind of tortures them to get an answer of where she is. Where we also get to see also kind of like Joel being a dad almost or a guardian to Ellie, so to speak.
Well, I think yeah it is that episode 8 that he begins to take on the father role because
Yeah,
when Ellie comes out, and it's also where like I get emotional at that part is when he grabs her and he's like, "I'm okay, I'm here, baby girl," which is what he called Sarah was baby girl.
yeah, the
Um,
baby girl, and that wall has been broken down. Iconic moment.
so it kind of says, in I guess in some ways it almost says Ellie's tougher than Sarah was because she was able to survive that. Not saying anything bad about Sarah necessarily, but like I think it's part of just the world that Ellie's had to live in. She is much tougher,
Yeah,
and 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 so Joel, as you know in the game when Joel's going through and killing a bunch of people to go find Ellie, but he never finds her until she's killed Mr. Preacher Man.
yeah, yeah, and that kind of leads me into one of my notes here that I have is in episode 9 that opens up with Ashley Johnson playing Ellie's mom and
Mm-hmm.
how she was infected when she gave birth to Ellie. So this is all that Ellie has known is this world instead of everything beforehand. Like how, if Sarah had made it and everything, she would have been able to say like, "Oh, I remember like being innocent as a kid and just having fun, having barbecues and everything." Whereas Ellie doesn't know that; she just knows survival, like you're saying, and what it takes to survive. So she has those street smarts. She did go to I can't remember the name of it, but she was raised in basically like an army sort of school
Mm-hmm.
or like
Yeah,
a
she
training
was
sort of thing.
the federal, Fedra, whatever,
Oh
military
yeah,
school.
yeah, Fedra. Yeah,
Um,
almost like a cadets thing, but hardcore.
yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah, she was being a cadet, which in the show, not the game, but the show, that's where they also push like you're smart, and because you're
Mm,
smart, you can get an officer position where your life will be better, or you can continue doing dumb stuff and end up getting sewer positions.
oh yeah, yeah,
Go work in the
yeah.
sewers
You
for
could be a janitor.
yeah. You can you're just going to watch over the people in the sewer as they clean the sewers out. Like um, like well, you can do something that's going to be nicer, or you can go to the crap position because you made dumb decisions. And Ellie, you know, not being an idiot, kind of was like, oh, okay, well, I'll take the better route. Um,
Yeah,
where,
yeah,
if Joel had been in that, Joel's a tank, but he's not a smart guy. And so he probably would have been sewage maintenance type of, like he would have been doing those low level
yeah,
jobs because he just is a tank and he can just, like just kind of hit people. and it's kind of the same thing because Ellie's friend that she's with when she gets bitten, and then
Hmm.
they find out that she's infected. Her friend was a tank, so
Yes. Yeah.
um, and I think like as I more think about it, it's really the game in well the game in the show really shows that it's like you need each other. You need
Mhm.
somebody. It's not as fun to just go off and do your own thing. you
Yeah. Yeah, because my one note that I put on here too is the game is a love letter to loss, but then love.
hmm Yeah, and that's when like people are like, so what's season 1 and season 2? I'm like, I will give you one thing, and it's what Neil Druckmann said um, just before season 2 came out, and it was season 1 or episode 1 or the first game was about love in the many different forms that it can take because most people
Hmm.
think love is like I love you so much and this lovey-dovey thing, but sometimes it's that
Yeah.
um, you love somebody so much, you love you love whoever so much you might just go beat the crap out of somebody and say don't touch them again. And it's like it's a
Heck
violent
yeah, we've
form.
all been there, right?
Yeah, it's a violent form of love, but it's love. And
Yeah.
where the second game and the second show, they keep trying to say a little bit that it's love, but it's anger.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And which kind of gives when you're playing through the game, we don't know through the show yet, but as you play through the game, there's just moments of as you're playing it of unease of the choices being made, but you understand that you understand why the choices are being made if you have
Yeah.
some empathy, but it's kind of like oh no.
Yes. Yeah, because and I'm going to be playing through part two here pretty soon because I want to kind of keep the game to where the show is as well because I think that
Yeah,
would be kind of fun to have it so fresh in my mind, the two. Um, but yeah, I just remember playing through part two and I felt gross the entire time because I didn't feel like the good guy.
yeah,
Because and
and
this
I
is, I mean, it's realistic, I guess, of how the world can be kind of gray. You think you're doing the right thing, but playing the game and not really going to get into spoiler territory here, but you do get to see different sides to the same coin, and
yeah.
which side is really the good side.
Well,
That's hard to
and
say.
and really season 2 comes off of the choices that Joel made
Yeah,
because of his love for Ellie directly lead into the second game.
yeah,
They are the whole drive for the second game.
yes,
Um,
and maybe you could answer this for me, but are we in season two of the HBO's show? Are we getting the entire game in season two, or is it being split up?
I believe they are splitting it up from what I've heard is that there will be
Okay,
a season 3. This is
okay.
I think Neil Druckmann and the other showrunner guy have said this is kind of like their Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. Okay. Those
Um,
are pretty big boots.
yeah. So, and from the reviews I've seen, because apparently, like, IGN has seen the whole season, which I'm kind of like, I thought it was going to come out weekly.
Oh, I did see something on IGN, just in my newsfeed on my phone, and I was like, the season review, and I didn't click on it because I I don't want to ruin it for myself,
Yeah,
and also that's not fair.
and that's what I really want. Like it's something that's fun. I remember, as a kid, and I think it's good that the streaming services are doing stuff like that. But I think it really fits The Last of Us is that you watch an episode, and then for the next week you talk about it and speculate about it with your friends. I
Yes.
remember watching like Lost back,
Mm,
like back in the day, and you would be like, "What's next? What's going on? I think this and this and this and this," and so you're trying to figure out the puzzle of what's going
yeah.
on. And um, I think with you know, I think Netflix all the time just says, "Here's the whole season" when they put it on. So like with Stranger Things, but I
Yes.
think it
Yeah.
does kind of a disservice to people because people will be, I'll just binge watch the whole season, and it's like, but you're missing out on part of the fun of that
Yes.
conversation, the water cooler conversation that you have at work or whatever. It's
Yeah,
um,
and it's so tough when, yeah, and this is what Netflix does. Like you said, they release the whole thing all at once. Um, it kind of puts on that pressure of like, oh my goodness, I need to watch like 5, 6 hours of TV now, just so I can be a part of this conversation with these guys. Whereas
yeah,
with Disney and with HBO here, uh, it's one episode, or sometimes I think it's 2 episodes they release, and then
yeah, it
but
might
then
be
you still
two
have a whole
episodes,
week.
then one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, to really get you going, because some people need more than the first episode to really get a grasp of, do I really like this show, or was the first episode just kind of slow? Because for me, anyway, that first episode of The Last of Us, it's a really long episode, and it's kind of slow for those of us that played the video game, thinking, when are we getting to
yeah.
the moment?
It's the longest episode at 90 minutes,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's where I told my girlfriend. I said, it's a movie for this one. So just
yeah,
so you know,
and I haven't met too many people that dislike the series, so there might
yeah,
be certain
which is
things about the
testament to,
series.
yeah, yeah, because quite often, video games don't translate that well to the big screen, or
Yeah,
let alone a a series. And yeah, for me, it's a testament to how good the writing was in the game, and how Sony found a really good person with Neil Druckmann helping out, who he's the creator of this,
yeah,
of really making this into something special. And and of course, Pedro Pascal being Joel, and Bella Ramsey being Ellie, and Nick Offerman being Bill. They also got some really good actors and actresses to portray these characters, and I thought they
yeah.
did a fantastic job with it.
Well, and that's where I think Neil Druckmann comes in is, um, you know, why I love Uncharted. It wasn't until um, 4 that it became more of a living, breathing world that you were wandering around in. That there was a lot that you saw a lot of the history, or like you could read a lot of the history in
Yeah.
Uncharted 4. And
Mhm.
that's one of the, I'd say like the beautiful things with The Last of Us, the game, is, like the show, they kind of show like little things going on in the background, and they might show like a little bit of a history, but in the game, like it's like um, when they're going through the sewers and the outside the city with the two brothers.
Oh, with Sam and Henry.
Yeah, Sam and Henry. You're
Yeah.
reading the you're reading the story of Ish and him like, oh hey, like you first see his boat crashed on the shore, and you see his letter like,
Yeah.
well, it's time for me to come ashore. I've ran out of food. My boat's beaten up. Guess I have to see what's happened. And then he's like, I found this sewer place. I'm going to hide here. And then he's like, I'm kind of lonely, and I saw some people, and they were nice to me, and they didn't try to kill me right off. So I'm going to see if they want to join me. And and then the next one's like, um, we've created a community, and we have kids and adults and everything, and we have a
Oh, right.
security system, and then the next thing you see is the dead body of one of the adults and two dead kids. And
Yeah.
that's one of those moments where you're like, ah, dang.
Yeah, and that is one thing where, and this is just the video game itself and or the universe of this. Yeah, I wish some more people made it out alive because it seemed like almost every single one where, yeah, like you're saying, you get this whole story and it's really cool, even though you never actually see these people on screen being alive and breathing and all that. You're just your imagination for it and just the little bits and pieces, the little clues, the little hints, the little signs of what's happening in the video game, how it creates that whole world right there within a matter of maybe an hour or a few hours that
Yeah.
you play through that section.
So
But yeah, you're getting someone's whole life story right there.
it's always kind of interesting to see, especially because The Last of Us is such a linear story. Like it's open area for you to run around in,
Hmm.
somewhat, but it's
Yeah, yeah, it
this
has
is the
some open
path.
spots for sure. Yeah.
This is the path that you're taking, um, and but they do add that stuff that just adds meat to the story, and that's what they
Yeah.
did with Uncharted 4. Is you get more of the it's the much more high end Indiana Jones cinematic. Um,
Yes.
and but in two was a masterpiece. One was good,
Hmm.
but two was a masterpiece. Three was um, had some big pieces in it.
Yes. Yeah, some
But
fun set pieces. Yeah.
yeah, but not great. And then four was just absolutely gorgeous. So
Hmm.
two and four are the two play games in the Uncharted world, and four was Neil Druckmann, because Amy
Yes.
Hennig had left by then, and she was one, two, and three. Um,
Hmm.
and so you can see the difference in their storytelling, because in four you start to see the little side notes and the letters and everything in it, and I think it's a good way to tell a story in a video game that
Hmm.
Neil Druckmann found with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that too. And that's something where for me that's also part of that water cooler kind of talk that you mentioned earlier where you're playing the video game and then you're checking in with your friends and be like, "Hey, did you see the note about this guy over here? He did all these incredible things." And if someone was just running through it, they would have totally missed that.
Yeah,
So it's
and
kind of just like it rewards you for playing the video game a different way and going at your own pace.
yeah, and yeah, and The Last of Us very much encourages you to like do a quick run around an area, grab some stuff, and it's when you do that that you find the little story things. And if you're just trying to like first play through, just gun it through, you
Hmm.
miss that story. And it's the once again it's where like I'm sort of looking forward. I'm not sure what to think about the new game, although it's one thing that I think all the comic books that they find in the first game.
Oh
There's
yeah,
the
yeah.
first thoughts of this new Interstellar game because it's all about space travel.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay. That is
And
interesting.
because they always kind of hint at the games hint at each other. In Uncharted 4,
Hmm.
you see a poster of maybe a girl or a grown woman wearing a
Hmm.
mask, like like Joel wears, kind of in the Nathan Drake's daughter's room.
Oh right. And man, speaking of that, this is the one time where I'll say this again. I really wish it was Uncharted 5 and we were actually getting to play as Nathan Drake's daughter. Because the fact that they let you even like play as her at the very end of the game, I was like, oh come on, guys, let's have a new one. I want to see like Nathan Drake take over Sully's spot, and now you're playing. I just think it'd be so cool.
It kind of makes me wonder if they're keeping Uncharted, The Last of Us, and then is it Interstellar, all within the same universe, and so
Oh,
did
okay.
did Nathan Drake and his family survive the infection?
Oh, could only hope, right?
Yeah, Interstellar goes like centuries later or whatever, but or
Yeah,
I keep
the great, 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 great granddaughter
yeah,
of
and
Joel or
so
something.
it's
Yeah.
just like I wonder if they are keeping it within this, they're kind of like, well, these are kind of in the same world, or if not. One
Hmm.
of the things I did notice in the game when they first meet Sam and Henry, and they're
Yes.
going through and they go through the game store
Oh yeah, yeah.
in the PlayStation 3 version. I think the PlayStation 4 version, but I do know the PlayStation 3 version. There's Uncharted video or board games in that store.
Oh man, I yeah, I don't remember that. Okay, it was just
It
something that I didn't really notice because I'm just walking through it. You got the little part with the robot, and then Henry says,
Yeah.
"Hey, put that down. Only
So
take what you need." Or yeah.
episode 4, or the PS, maybe the latest later PS4, but definitely the PlayStation 5 version, they took those out.
Oh, they did. Okay, that's why I didn't notice them then. Okay,
So
they changed in part
you probably have to go ramp up your PlayStation 3 and pop in
one.
the
Yeah,
disc.
it's over here in the closet. That
I
goodness.
have my I have my PlayStation 3 somewhere, but it had the one of the things that the PlayStation 3 had an issue with is it get out so hot, the chip would
Oh,
disconnect.
yeah. Yeah, and The
And so
Last of
then
Us, GTA 5 were so bad with that.
yeah,
Because it was incredible that they could even get that game to run on the PlayStation 3.
yeah. So one of the ones that, of course that's, it's like how they look then to now is
Hmm.
different, and that was always fun with the first Uncharted. Is you see the history, their previous Jack and Daxter type
Yes.
animation in it on the PlayStation 3 version, not on the PlayStation 4 version. The 4 becomes more when they updated it for 4 and then the PS5, they updated
Hmm.
the graphics and made it more realistic. Where if you look at the animations and
Oh,
everything in the PlayStation
okay.
3 version, it's more cartoon. Um,
Right. Yeah, because
but
it felt really good playing it. I was playing it on Steam here, so it is the same as like the PlayStation 5 version of the game.
yeah,
And yeah, I was like, oh, I don't remember it feeling like this smooth, so to speak.
Um,
But I mean,
but
yeah, they still had the Easter eggs, though. Yeah.
they definitely improved the gameplay because that's one thing about um, The Last of Us Part 2, that gameplay, which translates so well into its. They say it's multiplayer mode, it's single player,
Oh, the
organically.
grounded.
Yeah, grounded.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
um, it's fun, and like I think it was that they were trying to get the multiplayer going and then killed it, and so they said here's something. And I am glad that they added, was it 4 maps? They added 4 maps, and then Bill and Marlene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Marlene. Yeah.
So they added those two in, and so that's been. So I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't played. I played like a little bit, but I haven't um, played it much lately. But like
Oh,
you,
okay.
I plan to probably stream it and play it, so that
Hmm.
by the time the next episode, so I'll start probably like next Tuesday and stream and get to the point where episode 1 ends.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know if they said what the runtime of episode one will be?
I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I'm just
probably.
curious if it's going to be like season one, where the first episode is almost 2 episodes in length. You know, like an hour
Let
and
me
a half.
see. I wonder if I can do a quick Google here.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm excited for it. I hope if there is going to be a season three needed to finish off uh, The Last of Us Part Two, I hope that it's not like a 2 to 3 year wait. It'd be nice if it's a lot sooner, but of course, COVID really put a damper on a lot of things and pushed a lot of things back. So the wait is definitely understandable.
So it looks like the first episode's only 59 minutes, so it's a 60-minute thing. So,
Okay, okay, that's not too bad actually.
so
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I will definitely be taking a lot of notes on that one.
yeah, I didn't mind the 90 minute for that first episode for the kickoff episode, um,
Yeah,
but it did seem like it could have been split into 2 episodes.
yeah, yeah. Because really, it
Like a
was,
solid 10.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it was still fantastic though. It was still a fantastic episode. It was just one where when I went into it, I wasn't expecting to sit down for that long to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, but I remember just the first time I watched it, I paused after a while, and I was like, "Oh, I'm only halfway through this. Okay, well, I need to get a snack here because
Yeah. I'm kind of getting the
gotta do
munchies
something."
right now. No, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm wondering what type of changes that they're going to make. Because,
Hmm.
like I said, I don't mind the little changes where they give you a little bit more of Sarah's backstory or make it so you're not doing the video gamey stuff to, you know, get to certain areas. Um,
Yes.
the one, and it still bugs me, is like I don't like how they took Bill away from meeting Ellie.
Yeah. I did have that as a note. As episode three. This is the one with Bill and Frank and their entire backstory. Um, because in the video game, you never meet Frank because Frank went and
Yeah,
um,
you meet Frank
decided to
in
make his decision. Yeah, but you had Bill. You fought alongside Bill, and there's a lot of really good banter that
Yeah,
Ellie and Bill
it,
had together.
and I thought, okay, Bill is there to help Ellie and Joel start to talk more. Because up to that point, Joel's
Yes.
just like, you're cargo. I don't want to talk to you unless I need you to talk to. So just do what I say and shut up.
Yeah. Yes,
and
sir.
um, and it's at that point where Joel starts to get a little bit more protective of Ellie, but Bill's still kind of somebody he respects. And so
Yes.
it's trying to play that like, okay, just back off of him, don't try to piss him off too much. And Ellie's like, I'm gonna do what I want, like he's gonna be fun to tease. Um,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think that they took that away. Like, I don't mind that they changed Bill and Frank's story more to one where they got along. Because in the game, Frank's kind of like, I got sick and tired of you, and so that's why I'm on the other side of town taking the battery that you were too much of a chicken to go after.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, and even yeah, because in the video game there's on Steam anyway, there's an achievement for picking up the note that Bill crumples up and throws away, which was Frank's what do you call it? His explanation note. I
Yeah,
guess you
his
could call it
farewell explanation. Yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
and so it's like, I don't mind that they changed that story, and they could have shown some
Hmm.
of that story, but honestly, instead of them just re- romantically died together,
Hmm.
I just see it more as maybe Bill's planning on ending stuff, but Frank
Hmm.
dies, and then he's just kind of cleaning up when Joel and Ellie get there, and so I would just say he could just be more irritable. Like, I'm
Yeah.
getting ready to end my life. I'm just setting everything in place.
Yeah, one of those, oh, you're here a little bit sooner than I was expecting. Okay, well, anyways.
Like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
that's really what I need right now. It's like, um, and I think that, so it's like it would make him like extra irritable, which would then instigate Ellie to kind of push those buttons,
Hmm.
and with
Yeah,
Ellie,
yeah, just a way of her to kind of get him to open up a little bit, like have a bit of a backbone, so to speak.
yeah, and so I the problem they have with 3 is it really, when you're going through a, well, ultimately a story in a game where it's like there's so little hope in the world, and then they're like, here's a
Yes.
story that's a story of hope and this and that, and it's just kind of like you're kind of derailing everything for one episode. um,
Hmm.
and like, I understand why they did it, I just don't agree with why they did it. So
It, yeah, well, it was literally one of those episodes as well, and it was beautifully told. If it was a totally different, I don't know, a series or something like that, or just like a one-off kind of thing, that would be cool. But it was also one of those episodes where we're having to wait every week, and for that one, we didn't really get that much progression at all in the storyline of the game. Which for me, that was also kind of my thing where I call it a bit of a bummer. Of okay, so we got the battery, cool, and we had a little bit of banter, a little bit of a conversation with getting to see with Ellie and Joel. But aside from that, there wasn't any of the a lot of that cool stuff that Bill had set up all these traps and explosions and everything like all over the place. And then, yeah, just getting to see Joel and Ellie meet another living human being that isn't infected in the game, which was part of the fun thing. Which for me, that leads to when we get to actually see like Sam and Henry as well, normal people ish, as normal as he can be.
normalish people in the messed up world.
Yes. Very messed up world. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something where like I think that was the only like major change that I was kind of
Mm.
like I don't, I don't really like that. Obviously there were people that really loved it, and so that's fine, but mine was just like it takes away from the story and it makes Bill just the this is the guy with the truck.
Yes. Yeah, really. Yeah, because I would say that the only other thing for characters that we meet in the video game that changed is Sam becomes deaf in the show.
Yeah, that's true.
But aside from that, I mean, we still get to meet him. The
Interact with
way
him.
that they part with Ellie and Joel, that's the same. There's a lot of things that are quite similar
Yeah.
where they didn't just remove a character or whatever have you.
And that's where it's like they also introduce the bloater. Um
Yeah, that was a really good way that they did it.
and I kind of like that one a little bit better because I think the villain that they added in it's like she's a villain, but she's almost a villain by okay, well, this is who I am, and these are choices I'm going to make. And so
Hmm.
she's not really a villain, but at the same time, she's a villain. and and
Yeah, yeah,
and so them going through all that and adding that story and then adding okay, this is how they get away, kind of also still adds on to that when they have the sniper where all the zombies came from.
yes. Yeah, and it was so funny because it had been quite a while since I played the game. And of course, the last thing I'd done is I'd watched the entire show. And as I'm playing the whole section with Henry and Sam and all that, I was like, okay, yeah, we're getting all the story of, okay, these guys rose up against Fedra and everything. And I get all that. I was like, wait, where's Kathleen again? Where'd she go? I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, you never actually meet her. She was new. But that's
Yeah,
a
she was a
testament to
new
how
character.
good. Yeah, that's a testament to how good the writing was of kind of putting a face to this uprising that occurred,
Yeah,
and
because in
also
the
gave a
game,
little bit more story. Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say, and also gives a little bit more to of Henry and Sam and their relationship and why they were hiding out in the video game,
Mm. Yeah, kind of
which I thought was
established.
really cool too.
Yeah, because the
But
video game, they're just kind of. Well, we were passing through town with another group that was off to meet the Fireflies, and we got stuck in
yeah.
town. Um, where I do like the change that they were part of that city, and they wanted to get out, and still wanting to go find the Fireflies. Um,
Hmm.
but like we're leaving, but because of things that we did, we're being hunted, which makes a lot more makes more sense. And
Yeah.
and I was thinking like the leader, like you hear them talk about kind of a leader of the group as you're going through the city, but you never meet the leader. So in the
Hmm.
show that you meet the leader.
Yes. Yeah, boy howdy, do you really meet that leader?
And then
And
Tommy
it was also
Tom
cool how. Oh, go ahead.
as and then at the end of that episode 5,
Yeah,
Tommy
episode
Tommy
five.
gets his head ripped off. The voice of Tommy gets his head ripped off.
Yes, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. But it was really cool how they showed off the bloater with that. Had that huge scene of just tons and tons of infected just rampaging, and it's like, okay, well, this is a good way to get out.
Yeah, and
Because
so
yeah, in the game too, you have that sniping section, and it's just more and more and more keep on showing up, and then it's just like we gotta go.
Yeah, it really adds that like you need to go, you need to get out of here, and so they do a really good they did a really good job with it in the show. I don't mind the change too much, although I wish you had been able to in the show wise got a little bit more of the story of Ish and his family or his community.
Yeah, community. Yeah. Well, they sort of become family, but yeah.
Yeah, because you see the mural and everything, the kids' drawings on the wall, and Ellie and Sam, kick the ball around a little bit, which is kind
Yeah.
of kind of good, but you don't really see anything about Ish, and I thought that was a really interesting progression of the story. I think it was the one that stood out to me the most out of all of them.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite sections of actually being in sort of like a sewer type of place because usually when those sections of video game occur, I'm like, this is gonna be so boring. There's nothing to really look at except for gray and more gray. And but yeah, no, The Last of Us did it fantastically well.
Yeah. So, um, well, I guess we're over an hour here. Um, so I guess we can do a little speculation on what we think we will see for season two. What type of changes
Yes.
that you think they will make, since unlike IGN, we did not have the privilege of seeing the whole season before it even comes
Oh,
out to
if
the
only.
public.
Yes, yeah, if only. You go first. What do you think's gonna happen?
Um, I don't see them backing down from the Ellie's sexuality type of thing, because at the same time, I think that was a major part of the game. Um,
Hmm.
I am wondering how they're going to fit so much into it. Like, Joel taking Ellie to the museum, or,
Yeah.
some of the other things. Like, that's going to be interesting to see what they do. Um, I think they have updated how the just rumors from I heard how the fungus can spread a little bit easier, but I don't know
Oh,
for
okay.
sure. Um,
Yeah.
I do know there's going to be a lot more action. They've talked about how this has a lot more action in it, which will be
Hmm.
really good. Um, um, I'm worried because they have kind of shown it a lot. Where why am I spacing her name? The main counter villain
Oh,
or
Abby.
whatever, Abby. I'm wondering how soon that they're going to bring her story in, because it's one of those um, where I think you can't have it too early, because you want the viewers to have that anger. And if they said,
Yeah.
here's the first episode, here she is, and then here's what she does, you'd be like, well, it's kind of justified. Where if you see what she does, and then like 2, 3 episodes later, you're like, oh, it's kind of, it makes it harder to be like, I still don't like her.
Yeah, no, fair enough. What I'm thinking is, and these are all just ideas that I have, speculation. I'm thinking what they'll do is in episode one, it'll basically be Joel and Ellie just really going in and how yeah, in part two we fast forward, what is it, like 5 years or something,
Yeah,
five
it's
ten
five
years,
years.
5 years, yeah. I think it might be a little bit of filling in that gap and kind of like just how they're surviving, how they're having a good time, they have that camaraderie going on, but also that little bit of, is Joel holding something back from me because of what we know, how he lies, and at the very end of season one.
Yeah.
And then what I'm thinking is going forward, what I'm guessing is in episode two, maybe it'll be like a young Abby find out that her father was shot and everything, and finding out who on earth this is, and maybe going back and forth where you have an episode with Joel and Ellie, and maybe that leads to them meeting, where we find out at the beginning of part two, the video game, of they were they had that whole plan set up and they just fell for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of debating, is if you go back and forth per episode. I think that would be cool. Um, because we do need to set up who Abby is. And for viewers, when you only got like 40, 50 minutes to do so, I mean, for me, it sounds like that's a really tall order to ask. Is, okay, here's a new character. You need to care about her one way or the other. Either you understand her or you hate her, which, of course, all of us, where we had to wait about 7 years for The Last of Us 2. I was like, well, screw this. My buddy Joel is gone.
Yeah. I love Joe. What
Oh,
happened to him? Yeah, and that
yeah.
was like playing the second game was such a, it was so hard to get through
Yeah.
that first time. And when you watch the making of video for The Last of Us 2,
Mm,
it
yeah.
broke Naughty Dog. Like,
Yeah, and I can only imagine too, when you see the blueprint, or the story, you're like, oh my gosh, we are doing this. Like, this is unprecedented, where you kill off the character.
yeah.
Like, it's
And
it's insane.
um
But yeah, hats off to
so
them, man.
so I just kind of see, um yeah, just them as, yeah, it's kind of hard to, I I I just hope that they don't introduce Abby's storyline too early. If they introduce her as a character, episode one, say they go through everything, and then at the end of episode one, um, Joel and Tommy um, meet her, and then
Okay.
episode two is kind of their escape type of thing.
Yeah.
And then episode three or four, you can sort of start to tell her backstory a little
Mm.
bit. Because once again, I don't think it's a benefit to the story to say, well, this is why she's doing it. I think in some ways you want people to absolutely despise that character because,
Oh, to have the shock
yeah,
aspect to it still.
because
Okay.
yeah, I mean, and I feel bad for the actress because I know she's even now getting attacked by people. It's like she's an
Which,
actress in this show.
yeah, I that kind of stuff really does bother me, where it's one thing to care about these these make believe characters. It's really cool. It's fun to do so, but there's got to be a line, and to attack people that are just, as you said,
Play the
actors.
role or
It,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah, they didn't make the choice for this actor or for this character to be who they are. Well, the fact that Laura Bailey got death threats, and now whoever is playing Abby, I apologize, I don't know her name off the top of my head,
yeah,
but for her to face also the internet just bashing on her, that's just wrong. That is so wrong, and people just go outside or something, just, or do some yoga, some meditation, something. Just breathe. It's
It's
okay.
something like it's a show.
Yeah.
Nobody actually gets hurt, or if they do,
Yes.
it's very rare. Or Alec Baldwin's on stage. Um,
Yeah. Pedro Pascal is going to be okay.
like the the actors and everything are okay. The characters are not real. It is purely entertainment, and
Yes.
it's 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 something that like I brought up. I keep thinking about with it. I there's I love that Neil Druckmann is part of it. That he created this story, um, and and he has a variety of characters and ethnic groups in this, which I think is something
Yes.
that's very highly needed. Because one of the things that bugs me is, you know, the well, I like you're with me on probably, we're redheads, and when they take away our redhead characters, it freaking irritates me. Like, hey, Annie's now a black girl. It's like, but it was Low Redhead Annie. That was like one of her nicknames, and
Oh
um,
gosh. Yeah.
and so when they say, hey, we need more black people in this, and we need more Asians in this, and everything. I am all for
Hmm.
this, and
Hmm.
The Last of Us is such a good story to integrate that into it. Um,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's a sort of a new IP. It's been around for a while, but I think
Yeah.
it's like they created a good story. It's a great story. It's a great in-depth story. Um, you have good and bad people on both sides that
Hmm.
are, of all ethnic groups. So it's like, hey, you can have a good white guy and a bad white guy, a good Asian, a bad Asian, a good black and a bad black, or, and it might not even be bad. It's just like, this is the person that's against me. This is the other team.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Like, yeah, because people are still people, right? But it's cool that, yeah, there is that variety. Because, yeah, when I was playing part one, I mean, it is what it is. But there wasn't a lot of variety. But that was also the PlayStation 3 could also only handle so many different character models.
Well,
So there was like, I don't know, probably like 500 of one character model that I ended up killing in the game,
well,
right?
it's one of the things when I first did my playthrough for um, The Last of Us Part 2. And I got to the very
Yes.
end of it, and I had kind of like a rocket launcher gun or something. It's kind of something similar to that. And it blew up, but it only blew off the bottom half of a guy
Oh
at the
my
very
word.
end. That was disturbing to see a guy alive for about 10
Oh no.
seconds going like, help me, and then yes, he's like crawling around, and then you see him die, and you're like, oh gosh, like it just added that much of a, because that's the one thing with the games, and they really nailed it with the second one,
Yes.
that this is a violent world. And I remember him talking about it with the first one, that they wanted it to feel more up close and personal. And I remember people talking about when they first played The Last of Us on the PS3. They're like, I ended up sitting in a dark room playing the game, and I had to go outside in the light for a little bit because it was just so hard. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and The Last of Us Part 2, and that this is where it is, it's a much more violent game,
Hmm.
and the and it's a much more violent story, and
Yes. Yeah.
so with this with it, like, it's just kind of like this is a warning to like probably anybody that hasn't played the game, that they're, and I hope they put it in the show because I think it means so much, but the violence of it and the
Hmm.
hard violence of it, to kind of say this is how the world is. It's not the perfect world, and it will never be the
Yeah,
perfect world, but this is what it is. And
yeah,
and I think if they can set that up for right off on episode one, that there can be good in the world, but it doesn't last long.
yeah, yeah.
um,
No, I get what you're saying. It's one of those things where like, no, you need to have hope. Something better can happen. But goodness, yeah, no. I do I do agree with you. I hope that they also are able to set that up quite well.
yeah, Last of
Yeah,
Us
I
is
have
not
no
about
idea.
hope.
No, it's not. It's about revenge. Um, yeah, but I have no idea what they're going to change in it. I I agree with you that I don't think that they're going to change Ellie's sexuality. If they do, that's going to change like everything in the game. Like,
Yeah, you can't change.
everything.
Well, and I don't think they're changing her sexuality. I hope they don't push it too much. Um, but
Right.
but in the game there is there's two sex scenes in the game that I can think of. One
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they might show that. I mean, they did show like the horrible side of that guy in part one.
Yeah.
Um,
So, like part two, there's Ellie has a sex scene,
yeah,
and then Abby has a
yeah,
sex scene in it, and so I hope they show it respectfully, but it is HBO.
yes. It is HBO, so anything can happen. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know because we did talk about how Sam becomes staff. They introduce Kathleen, who's a whole new character. They
Mm-hmm.
do all this backstory on cordyceps, like where it originates, how it's more like it was mixing with the flour and everything. And of course, they drastically changed Bill and Frank's their stuff as well. So whatever they end up doing, I feel like it's gonna be because that fits with this new narrative, and they do need to move the story along at a decent clip. Where this was like a oh man, like 20-30 hour video game. It was a pretty
Yeah,
meaty
it
video
was
game. It's
about
definitely bigger than part one.
yeah, it was. I'm trying to think. I think part one maybe hit about the 20-hour mark. Um,
Yeah,
like mid
yeah,
20s,
I was around
and
that. But that
and
was me
then
taking my time doing my stealthing.
yeah, part two definitely hits the 30 hour mark. It is a pretty game.
Oh
Um,
yeah, gorgeous looking video game.
yeah, like it's a pretty looking game in a very beat up world.
But boy, howdy, yeah, it is good though. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Sunday can't come soon enough. It really.
No, yeah, I'm excited for Sunday. I'm excited that we got this. I will try to. I might test my other webcam next time so that I don't look uh,
16 bit.
digitized. Yeah, look at me, I'm Mario. No, so no, I think this was good. We did go over our initial time, but you know what? It's always good to sit back and talk to you about The Last of Us and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Um, so yeah. So, are you still planning on streaming these days, or you've basically backed off of streaming?
Um. Yeah. Yeah. No. Great question. What I'm thinking is I think surprisingly enough, I actually might have more time now to do that. I have settled down. We've lived here now for a month and change. Just got the new job. So, but if pretty much every evening, if I'm free, because I'm not doing days and nights like I used to have to do, being a paramedic,
Mm-hmm.
which just really burned me out really fast.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, having more stability in my life kind of means okay, maybe I could set up some days and time. So I am thinking of doing that. I don't really know
No, no,
when I'm
I know.
gonna stream yet, but goodness,
I just know you can't, you know, like you had, well, that period of PTSD and all the other stuff that went to you, and so you kind of pulled back, and
yeah,
um, no blame whatsoever. And it's like, hey, if you kind of said, hey, no, I'm just going to do um, these podcasts, and I'm good.
yeah. No, I think this is the best way to do it. Actually, is once a week for an hour or two. You know, however long it takes to do the entire thing. Um, but yeah, no, I think that's a great way to do it. It's kind of like baby steps. You know,
Yeah,
learning to crawl all over again, right?
yeah. No, I'm at this point just trying to like I'm, you know, my boss wants me to hit that 40-hour mark. Yeah, he's
Hey,
like,
and
you
hey,
can do it.
40 hours.
Um,
You can do it. That's a lot better than what would you say again? Like 70 or something unreal?
I've probably averaged about 70 the past since January. Um, and last year about um, June and June and July, I was doing a couple of 100-hour weeks.
Wow.
I do not recommend um, doing that.
No.
That will you yeah. it's it's like I kept thinking to myself, I should, you know, because I like doing, you know, for a while there I really liked doing those YouTube shorts. I'd go for a run and everything, and sit down
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because um and I like processing through, like I have, you know, when I go and run especially, I really process through a lot of information in my head. It's one of the things that helps me run for a longer period of time is
Mm,
I have to phase out and just kind of like I'm paying attention to where I'm running, but my head is working through ideas and issues and everything. And so it's like, you know, I'll just
yeah.
sit down and this is kind of what I've been thinking about. And, you know, sometimes it's like I have like 5 different things that I want to talk about.
Oh, geez.
So it's like, I'll
You
just
should
write
journal
down.
some of this stuff.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
because it's just, you know, like I think it, you know, it comes down to it's where it's like I like the Last of Us
Mhm.
with this because um, there's a lot about life that you can kind of learn from it. Whether, you know, I don't think a good storyteller doesn't necessarily mean for you to get um, doesn't necessarily say, hey, I'm going to teach everybody all these things. They might
Mhm.
just be wanting to tell a story and they're like, well, what does this character do? But they're not thinking
Yeah.
of, you know, like super in depth of like character arc, but they're kind of thinking, yeah, this is the process we want them to go through.
Mhm.
And um, when you start looking into the deep like psychology of things, you know, what drives you, what doesn't drive you, um,
Right.
why you do things, you know, like how are you the hero in your own life, you know, like
Mhm.
you know, or how are you the villain in your own life, how can you back off that? And that's where it's like I always kind of had with my shell pop brand, I haven't always been good at pushing, is make life a game. You know,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
because even if you're having to go through hard stuff, if you can make it fun, or
Hmm.
or not necessarily fun, but you can make it a game. So the challenge is a game rather than just it's just this is really hard. You can
Hmm.
kind of gamify it in a way. The amount you can
Yeah.
learn and grow off of that is a whole lot more because people learn more. You learn more when you play a game than if you just
Yes.
sat there and watched TV. You know, you can still learn stuff watching
Yeah.
TV,
Tell me about it.
but when you're making those choices and you're having to do everything, and it's where like The Last of Us definitely and Uncharted very much, you feel like you went through that story with them.
Yeah, and that's part of the whole. It felt kind of gross playing the game because I didn't feel good. I felt more like, but it was a mandatory thing. Like, you had to do it, right?
Yeah,
Where Ellie she is struggling, right? And Abby, she
she's
is struggling as well. And there's all that anger that they're holding on to.
yeah,
And it's just such a stark contrast to, I don't know, say playing like Mario or something, where you feel good, you feel happy,
yeah.
and
Well,
it's
yeah,
cutesy, it's
Uncharted.
fun.
Uncharted, you kill 500 people and you don't really care. Last of
No,
Us,
because
you
he's
go
gonna make a
kill
joke
one.
about it
The
anyway.
Last of
Gonna
Us,
say something witty.
you go kill one, even if it's like a kind of a nobody. You go kill one, and
Hmm.
you're like, ah, it's kind of like they purposely they had to pull back the dog yelping when you killed a dog in it
Oh, yeah.
because it disturbed people so much more than when they killed a human. But which is
Yeah, because for me, it was like killing a clicker. I'm like, good. I'm doing good in the world. We need to get rid of all these things.
but
But
yeah,
to kill
when
all
you
these
kill
people, yeah,
yeah, you start killing people, and then when they make it more personal, that's one of the
yeah.
reasons why they said like, um, in the second game when you kill like just a random person, there's a name attached to it, and so they're like,
Oh,
somebody
yes.
killed Joe, somebody killed Joe,
Yeah,
somebody killed Joe. It's so suddenly you're like, they have names, and it makes it more
yeah,
personal. And when you get up on somebody and they're like, please, 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 no, and and like you snap their neck or something like that, it
yeah.
it makes it more personal and it's harder. And there's lessons that you can learn from that. And I talked to
Hmm.
like a psychologist once, and and he was like, they use like D&D
Okay, yeah,
to go to do stuff with clinical patients, like say it's pyro. Well, you went and burned everything. What happened? Oh, everything burned down and people died. And then they process through that and they're like, maybe it's not such a good idea that I do this, to so it's putting like,
yeah. Sure.
if you can get an emotion, then um, you can get something, like you can learn from it. But yeah, it's my shell pop brand, and I do need to push it more, and really refocus on it. But it's gamify life,
Hmm.
make life, even when it's hard. It's a game. You're leveling up in some way. You're improving your
Yeah,
stats. And I think when you do that, and you can do that and you can focus on that, then it's like you grow as a person. It might not mean a whole lot more money right off, but maybe it does. And maybe it's just you're happier, or people say,
yeah,
gosh, you went through all that crap, how did you handle it? Because I just didn't focus on it being crap. I saw it as being a lesson.
yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. And yeah,
So
yeah. You should definitely do that.
I need to push that, and I need to refocus myself onto that, and maybe after this week I'll be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah, do those normal 40-hour work weeks, and heck, you know what? All that extra time you'll have, all that energy that you'll have as well.
Well,
Utilize it.
I'm running another half marathon this year. This one will be
Oh, nice.
in Disneyland. I finally
Oh, okay.
talked
Cool.
my I have two younger sisters. The older sister, I'd been pushing for a while. Like she loves to, physical fitness, and she's been like a track coach and everything. So I'm like, go run a Disney half marathon with me. So she's going to run the Disney half marathon with me in September. So
Nice, nice. That'll be
pretty
fun.
cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like those, and so I might have another one. I keep push. My boss was like, "Yeah, we should run a half marathon." Okay, tell me when so I can train for it. Yeah, they and
No, that's
also
cool.
it's hard to train when I've been pulling a lot of hours, and then it's like the mornings like I don't want to move.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and that's just it. Yeah, because I've been like doing some exercising as well, and being consistent with it too, which has been great actually, and it's so good for your mental health. Is like for me, it's so good for my mental health.
yeah,
Um, you're getting that blood pumping. You gotta, I have my goals of what I want to do, and just increase it like every week, just a little tiny bit, and yeah, but that's the way to do it too. Like what you're saying with gamifying things is like, okay, well, I hit this number for this amount of reps and all this kind of stuff. Okay, let's like do like five more or something, or whatever have you, right? But the cardio though, I need to do cardio more.
like
That's
honestly, and
yeah,
unless you're planning on going and running something, a good 20-minute walk at night. You got your girl. Say, hey, let's go on a 20-minute walk.
yeah,
It's
yeah. And
it's a
yeah,
good
and I got my
workout.
dog as well, and she she helps
Yeah,
out with that.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's your
no,
other. That's your other
yeah,
girl.
doing it. That's the other one.
Come on, girl. Let's go for a walk. I was talking to the dog. I was
Oh
talking to the
goodness,
dog.
gotta specify. Gotta say the actual names here.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, no, yeah, no. My dog did help out actually a lot with PTSD, with getting through that, being having to go outside every day instead of just kind of curl up under a blanket kind of thing and just hibernate, right?
yeah,
It's like, okay, I have a reason to do that, and that's because I have to take care of this animal. They're depending on me,
yeah.
right?
And so there's a lot of
So
lessons that you can learn from that, and I think you have learned from that. Like, oh, that's why it was so good.
yeah, yeah, because that's what I was thinking. I was, we moved out here, and of course it snows because it's you know I'm in Canada, and now I'm in
Yeah,
like the Midwest of Canada now. So basically Minnesota weather, right? And yeah, it was snowing, and I was like, okay, well, it's really cold. It's snowing. I'm not going to be going outside as much. And then decided to get like some weights and everything. Like, got a bench now, so being able to do that. And yeah, when I was, playing a video game or something, I'd be like, okay, if I die, I have to do this and all that. So in a way, I wanted to die, but you also get your adrenaline going. Get the blood pumping, and it makes a difference because then just I'm happier, right? So
well,
yeah.
it's like the little games, like workout games. I know people will do like say like a deck of cards, so it's like
Mm.
flip over a card, and it's like you do up to 10 push-ups, and I don't know the full game. It's basically a game, and you like push-ups, pull-ups, push-up, pull-ups, that type of thing,
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
and I think you can do it with other people, and so it's just kind of like this back and forth of so if you flip it over, okay, you're doing 10 push-ups, and so it's do 10, and you just go through the deck of cards together, so
Okay, okay.
you end up doing a lot of push-ups.
Goodness, can't get a single pull off. No.
Yeah, I can't. I
Oh,
can't do
geez.
pull-ups right now. I totally messed up my wrist. So
Oh no,
my
really?
my my right forearm, I really messed it up. So it's like I've been rehabbing it for a while now. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
it's like
Uh, well, yeah. Today I was just like feeling my shoulder. I was like, oh, what is going on? And I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have been doing the bench press 2 days in a row. Like, what was I thinking? You gotta divvy it up because keep using like the same sort of muscle. And it's just yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like yeah, depending on how often you want to lift weights or something like that. If you're doing it 5 days a week, like you can very easily divvy off into 5 different muscle groups, or if you want to do 3 different
yeah,
muscle groups, like it's okay to do say like a bench press twice a week, but then give it 72 hours in between.
yeah, yeah. That's just it. I need more time
And
to let it
it's like
heal. Cause yeah,
yeah, a lot of times it's like people say like do um, like a push day, so a bench press, and then that would work also your triceps. So you do a
right.
bench and tricep workout, and then you can do a pull day, which so that's your back and then your bicep.
Yeah,
And push would also probably be like a shoulder press, so you're pushing it away. But
right. Yeah,
so so it's just
yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
you can break stuff up, and then you have leg day, and everybody hates leg day.
Like that. Yeah, yeah. I was trying on some jeans over at Mark's Warehouse, and yeah, trying them on, and it's just one of those ones where it's like a really like a straight cut style of jean instead of like a skinny or whatever or sports style. But anyways, I was just like, oh, there's so much baggage there, and then my girlfriend was just like, oh, you should probably start working on your legs more. And I was like, oh, for crying out loud, come on, man.
You and your chicken legs.
Yeah, like, oh, come on, like I'm working on it here.
Yeah, it takes a while, and there's a lot of learn. Like some people just think, well, if I go lift weights and I just lift the weights and I do it a certain amount of times, it's like that's really good if you're just learning up front. But once your body gets used to it, then you have to really concentrate on what you're doing and how you're lifting the weight and
Yeah, yeah, and
everything.
I
So
have yeah, I've saved a few different videos of different guys suggesting like different workout routines, right? So
hmm
yeah, I
yeah,
do try to
there's
follow those. But some of them that they do, I'm like, oh, I haven't even really heard of them, but it utilizes like say like whatever this muscle is here, for example, right?
yeah
So it's kind of like you have like a weight, and you're kind of doing like
forearms and
this sort of
yeah
yeah,
yeah. There's so much about working out that like there's the basic, oh, well, I go run, but then it's like, okay, well, um, you don't just go run. Like there's certain things that you want to do when you're running because it's like, are you doing a short sprint or are you doing a long distance run? Because you're
mm,
gonna have to change how you run just a little bit to because if you're trying to do a full on sprint, you're really pushing on that ground and really slamming into it, which is really going to
oh
impact on
yeah,
your knees. If you're doing that for
yeah,
2 hours, your knees
you're
will
gonna wreck
be
yourself.
your knees will be wrecked. And so it's like if you're trying to do long distance run, you want to well, it's something more that I had to learn. Like if you um, land on your heel when you're doing a long distance run. So it's like you land on your heel. If well, what do you normally do if you're running and you try to stop? You almost just put your heel down, right? Because it's a break. So if you're
Yeah.
running and you land on your heel, you're doing a break.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so
Yeah.
you want to land more almost flat feet and kick back. And
Okay.
it
Okay.
take it so it takes less energy to run because you're not trying to stop yourself when you're running. So those people that like really do a long stride, and so they're hitting their heel when they're
Yeah.
running, they're
Yeah.
they're running, and then they're having to take so much more energy to push themselves forward that
Interesting.
that they can't run for a long time because they're just going to wear themselves out really fast. Um,
Hmm.
and so
Okay.
people that do long, the professional long distance runners, like they have really fast cadence.
Fair
So
enough. Yeah.
so they get a good stride because once you get going, like um, you learn to like how you get your foot going so that you can always be just the most efficient runner. And as you learn and everything, because there's different levels of running. When you first go running, you realize how heavy you are because your body's just jamming itself on on itself. And then as you
Yeah.
get used to it, then you start to speed up, and then suddenly running an hour is like, that's great. Or like lifting for an hour, you're like, I could go for longer because I feel really good. And then and the first time
Yeah.
you feel like a pump. Yeah, like you
Hmm.
just feel like your muscles, just the blood flow going to them, and you're just like, I feel good.
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
and that's such a high to be like. It's not just the endorphins going through. There's other chemicals going through, and you're like, I feel good. Like I feel
Yeah.
awesome right now. So
Yeah, for
anyway,
sure. Yeah, I was gonna say
I'll
I probably should get going though. It's almost ten
yeah,
o'clock over here.
I gotta let you go. Take your dog on a walk.
Gotta do that and do the bedtime routine.
Yeah, bedtime routines are good. So
Yes. Yeah. Routine is just in general really, really good.
yeah. So anyway, well, we will see you next Monday. So and I will get this downloaded and clipped up a little bit and put onto my YouTube also. So
Sweet. Oh, this is awesome. No, I'm happy. I'm excited.
it was good. So yeah, hopefully we can start getting, and then then we can both retire young and no, no,
I mean, hey, if yeah, anything is possible, it would be cool. But
no. It yeah. As you well know, streaming isn't necessarily an easy job. It looks easy, but it's not. So
oh gosh, no, no. And speaking of that, just like one last thing. Yeah, speaking of that, with tariffs and everything, and people potentially having less money, it might be actually harder for content creators or
yeah,
people that rely on like Patreon and whatnot.
yeah, it really depends on. I think there's a lot of stuff because, with the tariffs and whatnot, it's just kind of like everybody's having to figure out what the new standard is,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
and then there's also the negotiation part of it, because
Hmm.
that's really what's needing to go on right now. But then you get people like, oh, you're getting the tariffs, and so they have to. It's politicians, they have to puff up their
Well,
chest,
yeah.
and I'm so much this, but like, um, yeah, and so I in general, like with a lot of stuff, I might make comments on stuff, but I hate talking about politics. It's like I don't want to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
same here.
politics.
Yeah, yeah. All I wanted to
And
say was, yeah, who knows what the economy is going to be like? So
yeah, well, and the
hopefully
sad
it'll
thing
be
is,
okay.
yeah, sad
Yeah,
thing is the economy is very much driven by politics right now, and so um, and the thing that I always like, and this is where I kind of say, it's like the left needs to get away from politics because the left is what creates culture. And one of my things that I think I've said to you is for the past 25 years, our culture has not drastically changed. You look at the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they
Hmm.
all are very defined. You look at the 2000s, 2010s, and now the 2020s, they're not defined well. Like you know what the year was, but it's not like you can't be like, oh yeah, that's definitely from the early 2000s for like even clothing.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And really, like you look at it, the left really drives that side of culture, and when
Hmm.
the left is more um, driven by politics, you start to get a monotone culture. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
because you know the conservatives are much more like have a schedule, work with the money and everything, and when you can get both working together, I always say it's kind of like the Walt Disney and Roy Disney effect, or Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Um, you get a great product. And right
Right.
now, especially in the U.S., I don't know necessarily Canadian politics, but definitely the U.S. The politics and everything has divided the nation so much that
Right.
the work the working the ability to work between left and right is not there, and
Right.
it's destroying culture. So,
Yeah, we don't need that.
and it's why we're
We
getting
need
all
to
the
work together instead of bringing each other down.
yeah, it's like we're that's why we're getting all the Disney remakes, live action remakes, which then sometimes aren't live action remakes. You're getting, like just everything ported over or redone again. It's like, oh, here's Final Fantasy again, which is great, but then it's like, hey, we remastered The Last of Us again.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm hearing that The Last of Us Part One, maybe something is happening with that one again. I was like, really?
Yeah,
I just want
see, it's
something
like
new.
so it's kind of like it's a money driven society, and it's not there's not a lot of um, new culture to bring up a lot of things. And
Yeah,
if it is new culture, it's all brought into the sphere of politics, and so a lot of people are like, I don't care anymore. So it's
yeah,
kind of like, yeah, I want a good strong um, culture, pop culture, so that you can say, hey, maybe we had the all the way to 2020, 2025, that yeah, we didn't really change much, but we figured it out, and now we're progressing again.
yeah, yeah. That'd be good. That'd be awesome.
So
Yeah,
anyway, I keep talking, and you gotta get to bed. So
yeah, yeah. I need to do that. It's today was only day one of a new job, so
yeah,
need to
yeah,
have a really
you
good
got
first week.
you gotta have it. You gotta start the day two tomorrow. So
Yes, yes.
all
Got
right,
to keep on running instead of
yeah,
staggering. But yes, so
cool.
I'll see you next week then. We'll talk again.
Sounds good. Okay,
All
bye.
right, awesome. This was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. All right.